Hello YouTube, April 18th, 2019. I'm on the road today with these videos. We trying to go for 3 today and 3 tomorrow. And I still got 2 that I haven't shown y'all on my main beauty channel. But all my channels will be located down below. That is not this channel right here. You know, I got my business channel, which is currently named after my name for the time being. I might have time to finally change it this weekend to Diva Wan's Business. Let's see if YouTube will finally allow me to do it. And then we got Diva Natural Wine, which is where I do my beauty videos on my hair, such as my vitamins and all of that good stuff. So go subscribe to that. As far as my hair care, my occasional makeup tutorials. Currently I've been going for the no makeup look. You know, just a light, simple foundation to blend in with my skin. Most of y'all probably couldn't tell that I was wearing foundation. What y'all think of the blending, honey? You don't see no line of dermacation, cheekbones popping and everything. But anyways, this ain't about my cheekbones. This is about somebody else who's been passing off uh heritages and name changes and all that good stuff. We talking about good old Betty Oric. I haven't even I think his real name is Robert. It's a shame that I ain't even take the time to really vet his real name, but we all know it ain't Beto. So Beto, who is going for he's like what the 17th person on the Democratic ticket. It's like it's so convoluted, and that's the next video. Who do I go for, or am I'm finally switching over to the Republican Party? Watch out for that video to see if I'm switching over to the Republican Party or not, because what's going on with the Democrats right now is like, now truly I'm an independent, but you know, at the end of the day, I tend to have to vote when it comes to president. You have to vote either Democrat or Republican on the president. Now everybody else, I tend to vote split shift. Like I vote some Republicans that I like, I vote some Democrats that I like. But when it comes to the president, it's only one choice. So I don't know if I'm going Democrat or Republican on this election or not, but we'll see. But anyways, as far as Betty Oric, there's been a question that's been posed. A question that's been posed. A question that's been posed. Honey, they said he is getting special treatment because his name, which is the Beto, the nickname is Hispanic, but he's born a white man. And people are saying that he is maliciously playing up on this nickname that he gave himself, which he didn't give himself. We get to that in a moment. Um, that he's playing and pandering to the Hispanic vote. And I want to give an interesting perspective on that as somebody who's actually born with a very racially ambiguous name. For y'all that don't know my name, if you're new to my channel, my full name is actually Lawan. So Lawan is actually very unique. It's not only unisexual, but it can be Latin, it can be Spanish, it can be French, it can be Native, it can be Black. So it's very racially ambiguous, especially if you go into my, you know, my legal last name, which some people think is Jewish. I've heard some people say Muslim. I don't know how you get Muslim out my last name, but some people think of Muslim influence. So my name, my natural born name, is very racially ambiguous. And if I start speaking fluent Spanish, does that mean that I'm pandering to Hispanic people now? Because my name is Spanish and I speak Spanish, even though I'm not Afro Latina. So for people who's wondering my ethnic background, no, I'm not Afro Latina. So although I don't think nobody would think that with my darn old country Bama voice anyway. Although you do have some Afro Latinas in the South, I don't know if they have that stereotypical Latina. You know, some Latinas such as Vanjie, Vanjie, Vanjie. Honey, shout out to RuPaul Drag Race. I know that's such a side way off this topic, but honey, Vanjie Mateo, honey, country darn Bama Latina, honey, she's a Latina, but she sounds very country like myself. So it goes to the point where you can't stereotype. But people are stereotyping Beto and assuming because he was nicknamed that since he was a child by his father, so it's an authentic nickname. It's not something that he just decided to give upon himself. Um, Unlike Elizabeth Warren, there has not been any accusations of him using that name to say that he was something that he's not. Anytime anybody questioning him on his ethnicity, he's always disclosed that he's white. He's never um took in any opportunities that were for Hispanic people. So I don't see what the problem is with this Beto. So the fact that he was nicknamed as, you now saying that he can't use his own nickname no more. Now I think he went as far as to legally change his name, because on the Democratic ticket it shows Beto O'Rourke. So he went as far as to legally change his name, which is nothing against the law about that. I plan on eventually changing my darn own legal name. As far as my last and middle name is concerned. Um, but yeah, you have every right to do that as an American citizen. I don't see what the problem is. Like I said, he's not pretending to be Hispanic. And if people are simply voting for him on the guise of being Hispanic, I mean, isn't that is just as dumb as when black people were voting for President Barack Obama because he was a black man? Not because he actually had policies for black people, because honestly, we didn't see any. I mean, now shout out to the LGBTQ, honey. We got, but even then, President Barack Obama took his time with that. It took the 2015, but he had the House and the Senate in 2008 through 12, and the whole matter of fact, the Democrats in 2008 through 12 was in a more secure position than what Donald Trump and the Republican Party is right now, because the Republican Party only had the House, the Senate, and the presidency for 2 years. Now the Democrats done took the House back. Now, President Barack Obama, he had the House and the Senate for a full 4 years, and it took a struggle within the second term to get LGBT rights together. So I don't understand when people said that LGBT rights was just a walk in the park. No, it wasn't, because even under a full Democrats of 3 houses, it took into the second term. So it took some bipartisanship, some bipartisanship to get darn on LGBTQ rights. Now we need to get the black rights on together, and everybody else, immigration reform and all that. I ain't going to go into the details with immigration reform. That's a very controversial topic, and we already talking about a controversial subject with this double standard. Do y'all think it's fair that Betty O'Rourke is getting compared to Elizabeth Warren? I think it's different, because when Elizabeth Warren was being accused of is racial deception. She was being accused of being a Native American, which I still thought that she was just saying that she was of Native American ancestry. Like myself, I am of Native American ancestry. I'm actually Eastern Band Cherokee. I have family members that are on the Dawes Road of the Eastern Band Cherokee tribe here in North Carolina. So when she said that, I thought she was saying it just like me. Like, obviously, I'm dominantly black, but I have Eastern Band Cherokee ancestry. If you see my test, it shows Native American within my lineage. And also, what Ancestry does now, it allows you to compare your DNA. So I can actually show y'all a video of some of my relatives who have more Native American than me, like 10, 15, 20% Native American or Asian mixed DNA, and it shows the comparisons. So I thought it was like that, like her family is, white, but with distant Native ancestry. Or, a little bit closer ancestry, but obviously she's not Native. I mean, I didn't think anybody took her to be full-blown Indian. I never heard her say that she was full-blown Indian. I just heard her say she's of the ancestry. Just saying that you are of Native ancestry does not, in the way that she phrased it, she didn't phrase it as if she was 100% Native American, if that makes sense. But to this day, people still say she got on to school as an affirmative hire, which I still don't get. Like I said, I would think her as a white woman, she's the ultimate minority, because affirmative action benefits white women the most. So it's ironic that they saying to this day she got hired under the guise of being a Native American. But I would think that, during that time you had the women's movement and all of that going on in the 60s as well. I would think her being a white woman, would have pushed her in a little bit more than her distant Native ancestry, because she is pure white with blonde hair. Like, if they was really trying to go for the affirmative action hire of an actual Native American, I wouldn't think that they would get somebody as deep as me per se. Um, because they don't recognize the black Freeman Cherokees, or they damn sure don't recognize the Gullah Geechee, honey. But I would think they would at least got like a yellow tone natives or somebody, or a deep olive leaf skin tone, native of the reservation. That's just my darn gone thoughts. I think Native Americans to this day still don't get they just doing any sort of representation. It took what till 2018 just to get two Native American women on the darn gone House seat, and this is they darn gone Native country. I don't get that, but yeah. I don't find it to be the same, but some people are actually comparing. And I'm like, how are you comparing one woman being accused of racial deception, getting in on college on native on affirmative action? Some people are accusing her of stealing Native American benefits. And now I done broke y'all down on those imaginary Native American benefits. I told you, Native Americans, contrary to popular belief, do not get benefits like y'all are thinking that they do. Yes, they do have some exclusivities to a certain extent, but those are mostly for people who are actually tribal Native Americans who are on the Dawes Roll, who are living on the. You get land allotments and certain stuff like that when you're on the reservation. And that's not necessarily for the ones who are outside the reservation who don't got no ties to their native lineage and they live mostly by the other race. Like for me, I live dominantly as a black person. As Elizabeth Warren, she lives dominantly as a white person. So I don't know where these benefits that people are speaking of, other than she got hired under the guise of being a Native American woman. I mean, which I think is sad too that you hired her as a token pick. I would think most people would call that out, that she was hired as a token pick as opposed to her so-called alluding, which she never lied because the ancestry test came out and she is of ancestry. Now, if you want to say that it's irrelevant the percentage, that's very open-ended, but I still don't see where she broke no laws on that. But still, I don't see where Betty Oric. So this is a situation where neither one of these people are in the wrong, and where in 2019 people like to put 20 on 10 and just stretch things out to what it's not. Like we still calling Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas and Betty Oric. Now they darn gonna making Mexican jabs at him, and I think both of it is wrong in my opinion, especially Beto. Is that how you pronounce it in Spanish? Beto. But yeah, what y'all thoughts on this? Like I said, I don't see nothing wrong with him keeping the nickname and changing it to his legal name. He has every right to do that as long as he's not out here, deceiving Hispanic people to the point where he's taking benefits from Hispanic people directly. I don't see no problem in it. And if anybody is foolish enough to vote for anybody based off of racial pandering, and then you really got to check and evaluate yourself, because my next video, I'm actually about to do a video on all the Democratic, well, the major ones, because I think it's like 19 candidates. And honey, I don't got the time nor the windows to open up. I already got, let me count how many windows I got open up. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 windows open up, going in on the Democratic Party candidates' platforms and seeing if it's enough to even keep me on that side, or should I be looking on to the Republican? If the Republicans even have any, is the Republicans rely? Now this is what I don't get. Now the Republicans talked all this shit about Donald Trump, rightfully so, honey. That's the one thing we can be bipartisan about is Donald Trump, honey. But I have yet. Have y'all heard any Republican nominee going up against Donald Trump? So it's like Republican Party backpedaling, pussy popping much, because oh shoot, y'all hold on. I done got dark for a moment. That means my darn on battery's going. But have y'all heard any Republican on the ticket to run against Donald Trump, or is they just gonna go with Trump? I mean, I would think that, despite him being the current president incumbent, that they could still You get a Republican to go ahead and boot him out, and it's like, well, hell. And if they worried about splitting the ticket, it's like, well, it's two Republicans versus like 18 Democrats. So if the Democrats ain't necessarily worried about splitting the votes all up during the primaries, Donald Trump shouldn't worry about at least two or three Republicans. So where's the Republicans at? You got everybody from Marion Whipston. Like you just got the whole, and that's why when it comes to the Republican Party, and I just want to get on this subject for a moment. The reason why the Democrats are always seen as overall more diverse is because look at everybody who is going for president on the Democratic ticket. You got a very light skinned black man, Cory Booker. You got a East you got a brown skinned woman because I'm still confused on Senator Kamala Harris' ancestry. She says she's a black woman, and I guess I can take her word for it because she does have some blackness, but I'm wondering to what degree. I mean, her features are swirled, and her ancestry is questionable. Like she's not a black American. She is. I mean, she's a black American to a certain extent because she's born here, but not chestile slavery black. Like she is the daughter of a West Indian who has Asian ancestry, who's a descendant of slave owners in the West Indies. Her mother is a South Indian. Now, I never seen what a mother looks like because you do know that there are actually dark because the skin tone ranges. I will show y'all how light certain Indians can look like. They can be as light as this, and then they can be as dark. You know, they can be mid-tone brown. They can be around my complexion to darker. So here are a couple of variations of what Indians in the South can look like. They can be very swirly. Like they can be Apu off of The Simpsons. Here comes the Simpsons. Y'all know Apu is actually a descendant of Indian, and you know, along with his wife. So depending on what the wife look like, I'm willing to bet. I mean, depending on what the mother looks like, she might be mostly Asian. Like she might be that Cardi B like thing. Like she might be like 25-30% African, but the Asian, since the Asian phenotype can look similar to certain black people, people are thinking that she's more blacker than what she is, but she might be mostly an Asian person with a moderate amount of African ancestry, and then the rest is white, and it gives her that that look that she has going on. Like, honey, that would be interesting. Now, we all know at the end of the day she's an American citizen. So I don't believe in that darn gonna birth the crap that they trying to start saying, oh well, she needs to show us papers, honey. She done told us where she's born at and everything else. She didn't go to Canada until she was 16 years old. She was born here. She's American darn citizen. Her parents seemed like they had paperwork to be here, so it's not like she was no anchor baby or anything like that. And if she's done made it all the way to attorney general status, I'm sure she's already been thoroughly vetted and proven to be American citizen. If she's done served in the general and then also has served currently as an active senator. That's what I don't get. It's like how long Kamala Harris has been in the game. Now y'all are questioning her darn on birth. Now when she becomes president, like how long has she been in office? Like, come on now, stop the bullshit. So yeah, I would go through all of that in my next video. But yeah, as far as Beto, keep pushing it, Beto. I don't see nothing wrong with your name. I think people are just a little bit too oversensitive, especially when you deal with certain progressive networks. I would not name them, but I think progressive networks are really reaching. The fact that they're accusing somebody of pandering to Hispanics by simply having a Hispanic name. Because, like I said, if you're dumb enough to vote for somebody not based off of looking on their platform, but simply because they're the same race as you are stupid. Because all darn gone skin folk ain't kin folk. All skin folk ain't kin folk. Because look at darn gone Ben Carson up there. Honey, all skin folk ain't kin folk. And it ain't about him being Republican either. Because honey, if Montel Williams was on the darn old ticket on the Republican side, I might be looking into him as the president compared to what we got now. So it definitely ain't got nothing to do with politics or anything like that. Once again, all skin folk ain't kin folk. And all namesake ain't necessarily origin sake. Because once again, my name is indigenous. His name derives from Spanish origins. I know plenty of people who have names derivative of, African origins that they ethnicity ain't even close to. Name your children after Nigeria, and then you take an ancestry test and you a whole Ghanaian, and vice versa. So yeah, I don't get this darn on pandering by name that he's had since childhood. But y'all leave y'all thoughts down below. Do y'all think he's over pandering? Like I said, I don't see how someone can pander, and he's been using this name, and it's been documented that he's had this name basically all his life as a nickname. But y'all leave y'all thoughts down below. Also, what y'all think about the 18 Democrats that are going up for presidency? And far as I know, nobody going up against Donald Trump as far as fellow Republican um beating out for the primaries. So it look like Donald Trump is going unopposed on the primaries as far as Republicans. So it's just a battle of who's facing Trump as opposed to it being, you know, a person that I'm gonna have to look into that. Like I thought that if a Republican goes up for presidency, that they can still get in there. Like, is it so? I'm trying to think. So, since Donald Trump is the current sitting president that can have another term if he was to win, does that mean no other Republican can go on the ticket? Because I'm trying to be confused. Like, why hasn't another Republican decided to run and get him out of the darn office? Is it impossible for a person of the same party to go out in the primaries of a second term election? Y'all leave that darn answer down below. And I will see y'all soon with new videos. Like I said, let me get into this politic video next.